this is our first time live streaming for Snowflake on YouTube, and this should be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I see us. I see us live.
Oh, yeah,
I
this
see
is
us live
our
on the
first
stream.
time live streaming for Snowflake on YouTube, and yep,
There
I
we
see us
go.
live now. Excellent. How is everyone doing? Happy to see all of you. I am Felipe Hoffa with Snowflake, Data Cloud Advocate, and I'm here with Daniel Myers.
Yes, yes. Fellow developer relations person here at Snowflake, and today we're having an AMA talking about our journey in the data cloud and a little bit about each other, getting to know more about Felipe. We've worked together in the past, but get to know each other more, and so it's going to be a fun hour or so.
Yep, thank you everyone for joining us. We are new to the Snowflake community, and we are here to serve you, to learn from you, to bring you the latest news, and especially to create a community together. There are many people that know way more about Snowflake than us, but we are very, very happy to get started.
So Felipe, to kind of kick this off, can you, tell me a little bit about yourself? I know you're from Chile, and tell me a little bit about your background.
Oh yes, so as you said, Daniel, I am from Chile. I moved to the United States about 10 years ago, 9.5, uh, to work for Google, where I started as a software engineer. And I'm in Chile, I moved to San Francisco, I became a Google software engineer, and 2 years later, I became a developer advocate for Google. And you might have heard about the product that I was working with, BigQuery. Great product, but then 9.5 years later, I decided to move forward and join the Snowflake team, who have been doing a really, really, really great uh, product and service and job and everything. Uh, what's your story, Daniel?
Yeah. So my story is, so I grew up in Texas. So I'm a native Texan. There's the common saying that everything is bigger and better in Texas. But I had to try out Silicon Valley. So about 5 years ago, my wife and I, we moved to Silicon Valley. Been working both at Cisco and at Google as well, as a developer advocate at Google on Google Assistant. And so now, about 3 months ago, joined Snowflake, and to be a data advocate for Snowflake and the data cloud. So pretty awesome, pretty awesome. So yeah, that's a little bit about me. My wife and I actually we really actually miss the Silicon Valley area. Because Silicon Valley has a lot of really awesome places, like weekend places, right? So if you go like a weekend trip to Napa Valley or Lake Tahoe, things like that, it's a great place. You're about an hour and a half away from a lot of different destinations, all within the Bay Area.
But now you have all of Texas around you?
Exactly. Texas is so the great things about Texas is the food. So the food is awesome. You can't beat the barbecue. And the other aspect, is that there's so much land that you can drive for miles and miles and miles and miles, and not see anybody if you're going somewhere. So it's a different type of landscape, and very different than California in some ways, right? So there's not as many, I don't know, like the beaches in California are definitely, I would say, better. But yeah, Texas has its own vibe and attraction. So it's pretty good.
Yeah, just to say hi to people on our stream. I like that someone then just said hi. and he works at the Dallas Fort Worth Airport. So just saying hi
Awesome. Yeah.
to.
DFW Airport. I go there all the time. I am actually located in the Dallas area myself. So DFW is my default airport. So Simon, it looks like, we might see each other sometime.
Exactly. Next time we can start flying again. You can we can stop to say hi to Simon. Um, from the list of questions that I have here for you, Daniel, if you had to describe yourself in 5 words, what would they be?
Oh, so I would say one is definitely engineer slash developer. I definitely identify as that. I would also say husband slash dog dad. So I have a 3-year-old golden doodle. He's actually what's called a miniature petite golden doodle. So he's only about 18, 19 pounds, super fluffy, and so yeah, I like to hang out with him, take him on walks, stuff like that. Third thing is world traveler.
Mhm.
So my wife and I, we like to go. We like to try to go to as many places as we can. So last year we were actually able to visit South Africa. That was awesome. That was a really a very very memorable trip. We've also been to China. I've been to Japan. We've been to Europe. Um, Stuff like that. My wife would definitely call me as a fourth word, late or tardy. So she's very type A, very much. She's on time to everything, and very punctual, very organized. And in many ways, I'm the opposite. So I am probably by default a late to a lot of like family events. So we might go, family dinner or something, and I'm, maybe, 10, 15 minutes late, something like that. And everybody's waiting on me. And so she gets on me about that. The fifth thing is probably uh, enthusiastic slash, enthusiastic, because I like to work on things that I'm excited about. And so, which is part of the reason why I joined Snowflake. I think the product's awesome, and I really, so the people that have worked with me know that I'm one of the happiest guys that they've probably ever worked with, on a very consistent basis, and I think that's shown in the work that I do. So yeah, those are the kind of the 5 things that I think that would describe me. What about you?
Well, those are the longest 5 words I've ever heard. Okay, let me give you 5 words. I was thinking my 5 words would be traveler, uh, storyteller, data. Okay, let me give you the 3 things I love to do in life, like for work. Uh, I love storytelling, I love traveling the world, and I love analyzing data. Uh, Having those 3 passions in life, being a data cloud advocate for Snowflake is like the perfect job. I cannot travel right now because, well, most people can't and we shouldn't, but soon I'll go to Dallas as soon as we can and around the world too. Um, Storytelling is a passion. Like, I love being on stage. I love making movies. I, I love just showing other people things that could be interesting to them and things that are interesting to me. And one of the most interesting things for me is analyzing data and having a tool like Snowflake that not only gives you the power to analyze data, but also brings you a lot of data through the data marketplace. It's just like paradise to me.
So that's really interesting. So, I think, so you mentioned when you were telling a little bit about yourself, how you changed from, when you became a developer advocate, and originally you were a software engineer, right? And you moved to be more focused on developer advocacy. It seems like, your passion for teaching others and things like that contributed to that? What would you say was the tipping point of why you moved into developer advocacy?
So I always had dreamed about this. And let me start back in Chile when I was a software engineer in Chile before joining Google. I started using the cloud. I was one of the first users of Amazon EC2. I sold that concept to my boss before I was using Linux, something like that. And then when Google came up with App Engine, I learned Python to use App Engine. And I remember how great it was to have a developer advocate for App Engine everywhere. Like I could find him on Reddit, I could find him on Stack Overflow, I could read his blog, and he was so inspiring to me to have someone that worked at Google that was interested in having a dialogue, was interested in showing off what they could do, that I really wanted to have a job like that. And magically, after 2 years at Google, someone offered me this job. And at first, I wasn't very confident about saying yes, because yes, I love storytelling. Yes, I love talking to people, but I wasn't confident of people being able to understand me. As you might tell, I have an accent. And it might not be hard for you to understand me now, but 7 years ago, it might have been. I was a little bit crazy that I got the job, and then I have improved a lot more on how I'm understandable. And now I have amazing opportunities, like the job that I didn't even dream. I just admire what Nick Johnson did 10 years ago, 12 years ago. I admire him, and then I was able to uh, embrace a job like that. And what was your path, Daniel?
Yeah. So mine was very similar. So it started off as a software engineer, and as I grew in my career, I learned that at least from my perspective, a successful software project depends, largely, on the quality of the software, what the software does, but it also depends on building adoption, right, and building telling that story and showing the value to other developers, right, building a developer ecosystem, and so I think one of my so when I joined Google, for example, it was as a developer advocate, and I really saw the value in building these communities and telling these stories for others to learn and educate. So very similar, and yeah.
Yeah. Something that I find interesting here is that, yes, we were both developer advocates at Google. We are now both joining Snowflake to grow the community. There's already an amazing community here, like thousands of people. Um, and our teammates have done a great work building that community before we joined. Uh, thank you, Elsa. Thank you, Angie. Thank you, Kent. But now that we are here, we have different kind of jobs. We have different approaches of how we build community. And that is great because it's very, very complementary. Can you tell me a little bit about what's your goal here at Snowflake and how you're going to get there?
Yeah, absolutely. So part of my goal and large effort that I'm putting forward now is, for example, Snowflake Labs. This is a open source GitHub organization for both Snowflake fellow engineers, but also community members. And it's a place where we can collaborate on open source software that runs on Snowflake, on guides and tutorials for Snowflake. And there's already a lot of really good projects located here. And again, this is github.com/snowflake-labs. And what's awesome about this is that there's a lot of engagement. And so we're able to build a highly engaged community that brings value to other developers, right? So a huge piece of open source is that it spreads education. It helps others get educated on how they can build something because they can see the source code themselves. They learn how to contribute back to these projects as well. And so that's a big project that I'm working on is Snowflake Labs. And the other is developers.snowflake.com. This is another area that people can go to today to learn a lot about the various resources that Snowflake provides when building applications on top of Snowflake. And so like the term that we use is called data apps. And this ultimately what this means is that, if you are building an application that is data intensive, right? That's crunching a whole lot of information, analyzing it, displaying it in some manner. There's a lot of useful resources that developers can have for building those kinds of applications, whether it's in Python, Node.js, or whatever language that you may want to be doing it in, or framework that you're doing it in. And a good place to get started on that is developers.snowflake.com. So those are some of the big items that I'm working on here at Snowflake. What are some of the big things that you're doing?
Yeah. So one thing I have to say, when I joined Snowflake and we've met, like, hey, we're both here, and you started a little earlier than me, for me, it was great to see all the plans that you have built and how you have approached the problem. Like, we have this gigantic community, we have this amazing product, we want to build further space for developers to interact, to get GitHub, to have our developers portal. So I really, really love what you're doing there. Personally, I like taking a different approach, which I'm way less about plans. I'm more about how can I creatively bring attention to all that we are doing.
Yeah.
So I love being out there on social media. I love doing videos. I try hard to be a product expert. Like on my previous product, I'm the world expert the world expert #2 of all time on the Stack Overflow rankings. And that's because I've dedicated a lot of time to going to Stack Overflow, learning from user problems, and then learning and sharing how to solve them. And now that I'm starting here at Snowflake, I want to do the same, but instead of being the biggest, the #2 world expert of all time, I'm just starting. But just playing with the tool and finding interesting things that I find interesting about the project, I'm able to share them and give talks, write blog posts. I still need to publish my first blog post, but at least on social media, I've been tweeting a lot about a lot of interesting things I'm finding around.
Totally agree. And I think building that momentum, right? I think is one way that I think about it is building momentum and really mind share. Like, if more developers are aware of the ways that they can leverage Snowflake in their tech stack, I think the more that we'll be able to really grow this community and be able to help others. So it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I have a question that's coming live on chat from Dax and Atira. It's about Snowflake is not, so you have alternatives to Snowflake, and I really, really love Snowflake. That's why I chose to work here. And the question is, how do we compare with Redshift, and what's our relationship with Amazon? What have you learned about that, Daniel, so far?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think, Snowflake, one of the big things that Snowflake is able to do really, really well is scale. It both scale up and down. And so, the way that Snowflake differentiates between compute and storage is different from some of the competitors, right? So I like to say, one of the really unique things that Snowflake do is differentiate compute with compute. So you can have a warehouse dedicated to a certain workload, that you have this amount of compute resources that won't be interrupted by other queries that you're running in your organizations. And so that's pretty awesome that you can have this type of control over your environment, your data cloud. So that's one of the cool things that I really like about Snowflake. And what would you say, Felipe?
Yeah. So yeah, as you know, I worked for Google for a lot of many years. But then, while I was at Google during these 10 years, Snowflake was getting started and becoming first an interesting product, and now are this amazing product that a lot of people are interested in testing, using. Um, Something that is really, really nice to see is when people evaluate Snowflake compared to many other alternatives, like engineers everywhere before signing up for one product, they usually test, benchmark, uh, establish a relationship, they run a POC. People really love Snowflake. And I would call it one that what the founders did here and what the team has built here is one of the smartest ways I've seen of utilizing the basic cloud components. In the case of Amazon, we are using EC2 and S3. Azure has similar components. Google has similar components. And what Snowflake did was build the best solution for analytics just based on those basic concepts. We have a really good relationship with Amazon. So yes, they have products to analyze data. And they found out, and customers have found out, that running Snowflake on Amazon is a great way to solve their analytical problems, to scale up, to share data, to create value for their companies. It's not because I say it, it's not because I think it. It has been proven by thousands of customers' POCs, proof of concepts. They try
Exactly.
Snowflake, they see how it works, and it works really, really well. And Amazon is happy to have Snowflake users on Amazon. It's still revenue for them.
And the other really cool thing, you touched on this, which is, Snowflake truly runs on all three cloud providers. And so you can have, the same experience, no matter what cloud provider you're on, and be able to have, your file stages, whether they're you're using S3 or Google Cloud Storage or Azure Blob Storage, right? You can have, these your data sources, across the cloud providers, and which is a pretty awesome thing. And that Snowflake really excels at is cross cloud workloads and usage.
Exactly. It opens customers up to use whatever cloud is best for them. And
Exactly.
they can move
And you'll
Snowflake
see that.
around.
Exactly. A lot of customers, that already are on, a certain cloud provider, this enables them just to get up and running without having to change environments to another cloud provider for a certain piece of their tech stack, right? And so they can maintain that usage on that cloud provider that they're already on, and be able to leverage Snowflake, that's running natively, on that cloud provider. And so it's pretty cool.
Yes. I have a question here that's very specific about Affinios Matchmaker from Corey. Have you heard about Affinios Matchmaker?
I have not heard of that specific provider within the Snowflake marketplace. Um, but one thing about marketplace is that there is such a wide variety of data providers, right? And so that's the power of a data marketplace like this, is that you can literally shop around for the data that you need, and instantly be able to use that data within your Snowflake environment, right? And so There's not, it's, and you can use the same, SQL type queries that you're using on other data that you're doing, be able to enrich that data with your own. So, through joins and, your other things like that. So I think the power of a data marketplace that Snowflake has today, really shows that, even though I might not be familiar with a particular provider on the marketplace, there's a huge number and variety of providers available.
Yeah, one of my goals now is to showcase our data providers on the marketplace, because there are so many interesting there, and I'm just getting started. I don't know how we are doing on times, but I would love to know a little bit about what are your upcoming plans, action items for our viewers today.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I'm really excited, one, about the upcoming summit that we're having in November. So November 17th, we have a huge summit. We're going to be announcing a lot of cool stuff. We're going to have a lot of tracks, for different types of topics. I'll be on that as well in the hallway track, talking to some of our data cloud heroes, data heroes. So that's one of the big things that I'm really excited about. And there's a lot going into that. So we're, some of I can't spoil it all right now. But one of the things I'm most excited about is this upcoming November summit on November 17th.
Yeah,
What
I'm
about you?
super excited about the summit too. And something really crazy is happening to me at the summit. Do you know what I'm talking about, Daniel?
I think I do. Why don't you want to tell the audience?
Yes. So I told you earlier in this interview conversation that I love data and storytelling. I'm getting to interview one of the top storytellers in the world that happens to love data too. So I'm going to go all deep into that with the one and only Trevor Noah. So I'm sitting with him for
That's going to be
45
awesome.
minutes. That's going to be incredible. And yeah, I'm going to ask him how to become a better data storyteller, how he uses data. It will be really, really fun.
I heard that you're going to try and teach him a little bit of SQL.
Yes, if he loves data, he might become a SQL fan if I if I get to go
Awesome.
there.
Awesome.
Um,
Well, yeah. So what, for other ways, that our viewers can get involved in the community, what power have you seen in the Snowflake community in terms of, its impact on Snowflake and others?
yeah. Oh, well, so we have this great community site, which has been incredible for me as I get started on using Snowflake. Uh, the community is great into sharing tips, sharing knowledge. So I've been using it a lot. Um, we are also expanding the community now to other sites like Stack Overflow. I saw how Snowflake transitioned from being community only to now we do questions on Stack Overflow. And then I'm a big Reddit user, so I'm starting to share Snowflake stories on reddit.com/r/snowflake, which is also a great
Awesome.
place to see. Um, I think we should be closing, unless you want to go here for hours. I'm always ready to, but uh,
Yeah, I mean, I can keep going.
mhm.
The other aspect that I want to make sure everybody knows about is our Medium blog site. So
Yes,
medium.com/snowflake. And so what's really cool about medium.com/snowflake is that these are tech articles, tech blogs, articles that are both written by Snowflake engineers, for engineers, but also community members. So like, the viewers here right now, if you have a top-notch, tech blog article that you want to write, you can submit that to Snowflake, medium.com/snowflake, to be able to get it posted there. And there's a review process and everything, but it's really awesome way to get your articles out. and all for other Snowflake readers. So it's pretty awesome.
Yes. I love Medium too. It's one of my favorite places to write. Just to close quickly, to acknowledge the questions that we have here, extending of Snowflake for OLTP. I'm not sure about that. Then more public data sets. Yes, the marketplace now has 100. We are celebrating 100 different partners bringing data, and you could share too. Marcos Kerpel is thanking us for being here. Thank you, Marcos, and everyone for being here. You can follow Daniel on Twitter and LinkedIn. What's your Twitter, Daniel?
My Twitter is at @JDanielMyers.
J. Daniel Myers. And on Twitter, I'm at Felipe Hoffa. And you can also follow me on LinkedIn, follow Reddit, Snowflake, follow Medium, follow our YouTube channel, subscribe. Please, we will be very,
hit
very
that
happy.
Subscribe button. And be sure and check out developers.snowflake.com too. And we also have our own community site as well at community.snowflake.com. So check that out too. If you want to, we have a lot of community questions. If there's tech questions, absolutely use Stack Overflow. And you'll see Felipe there answering your questions. So it'll be awesome.
We are just getting started. Thank you very much.
Thanks, folks.